Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the West Lindsey series. This is one of the 9 districts of Lincolnshire and one of the county's most rural. It has 128 civil parishes. Let's see which one this episode's all about. Welcome back to West Lindsey, everybody, and you find me on a public footpath which cuts across a field here, and this links Normanby, where we were last week, to today's parish. And I'm about to get a really good view here because, as you can see, there's a gate which I'm approaching here. Once through that gate, I'm on the edge of a hill, and you should be able to see deep into Lincolnshire from the top of this hill. It's going to be really good. Once we get down the hill as well, we've got an interesting village to walk around, and it goes by the name of Claxby. The West Lindsey series is sponsored by Gainsborough Cycles 01427 617 752. For all your cycling needs, this is your one-stop shop, located at 20 Ropery Road or online at gainsboroughcycles.com. There's a link in the description. Gainsborough Cycles, ask for Trevor Halstead. And this video is also sponsored by Jamie's Fitness Studio, based on Low Road, Greyingham, near Curtin in Lindsey. Jamie is one busy lady. Check her out by calling 07906 749 574 or emailing hello@jamies.co.uk. Online membership is available. There's a link to her Facebook page in the description. Jamie's Fitness Studio. Get fit, get happy, get healthy. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Our journey through the Lincolnshire Wolds continues this week with Claxby. This is sometimes known as Claxby by Normanby in order to distinguish it from 2 other Claxbys in East Lindsey. This one is situated approximately 4 miles north of Market Rasen and 5 miles south of Caistor. In this part of the Wolds, the Romans were active, it would seem. There have been a couple of notable Roman finds here, including a mosaic near the church, along with a kiln for pottery making. Industrially, Claxby was important for mining. Lead was mined here from 1864 and ironstone from 1869. Both would cease in 1882. The village grew thanks to those industries and the people who worked in them, many of whom died here and are buried in the local churchyard. The most densely populated part of the village was to the north of the old school. There were 20 terraced houses built to house mine workers, working both at the Claxby Ironstone mine and later at Nettleton mine to the north. Claxby has very little in the way of amenities, but it does have a church and a village hall. There's no shop or a pub, and the old school is now a hostel called the Viking Centre. The village was also once served by a railway station, which closed in 1960. So, once a thriving centre of local industry, Claxby now couldn't be any more different. I'd describe it as a sleepy Wolds village. Let's go and walk it. Our walk begins where it left off in Normanby. Our first task is to actually get to Claxby by walking down this hill. Claxby sits in the valley below Wolds Top, the highest point in Lincolnshire, and it's quite a steep drop. The views are nice, but this path should be walked with caution. It can get very muddy up here, so you can easily slip. Where the path ends, there's a small utility station, I suspect water related. This is effectively the parish boundary. We're now in Claxby and our first landmark is the playing field. This was closed because it's undergoing some renovation. The road we're on is Normanby Rise and we're at the bottom of the hill. Claxby village is generally flat. So aside from the playing field, which we can't access at the moment because it's undergoing some remedial work, the parish notice board is the first thing I've come across. So let's get this job out of the way. That's Claxby done. That building was the old WI room. Since 1992 it's been the village hall, the centre of the Claxby community. Now we're making for the village green and for Mulberry Road via the remainder of Normanby Rise. This road is lined with a mixture of housing types, from the small semi-detached to the bigger and grander. Here's the green. The garden you can see here was planted for our late Queen's Platinum Jubilee in 2022. The green also has an information board which shows you around the village and gives you a bit of history too. One thing it mentions is Claxby's iron mine. That, coupled with lead mining, was responsible for the village's growth. So this map can show us where I'm about to walk. We are currently here at the end of Normanby Rise. So I'm going to head up here past the ice house, which is number 7, onto this path, which will take us across to number 5, which is the church, up St Mary's Lane then, up to number 1 and 2, well not quite that far actually, because they're actually up there, Willowbanks Equestrian Centre and Waldview Fisheries and Leisure Park, they're actually further up there. I'm actually interested in the Viking Centre, which is number 3, and then I'm going to go down here to Boggle Lane. Before I do that, I'm just going to catch what's here. I think there's a phone box or something along Mulberry Road, so I'll just nip down there along to Boggle Lane, along this path here, which will take us to number 8, which of course is the village hall, which we've already seen, and then back up the hill into Normanby. Now we're making our way up Mulberry Road, which is Claxby's central street. We'll cover this in 2 parts. In a moment, we'll be using a footpath that crosses the road and it will take us towards St Mary's Lane and the church. Just before that, we have Claxby's former shop. This was John Shepherd's shop, built in 1878 by the Earl of Yarborough. We're now halfway down the footpath. You'll note this isn't a public footpath, rather it's a permissive one. A permissive path is a route which the landowner permits the public to use, but it's not a public right-of-way. After turning left, we're making for the church next. This road is a dead end. On the way, we pass the beautiful Claxby House. Claxby's church is dedicated to St Mary. It's Grade 1 listed and it's built of ironstone. It dates from the 13th century. Like its near neighbour in Normanby, James Fowler of Louth had a hand in its restoration. That took place in 1871. In its chancel is a 13th century tomb belonging to the founder, Brayburth. There are several commemorative brasses too. It also contains a painting of the Annunciation, which was originally in St Margaret's Church in Burton-upon-Trent. Okay, so once out of the churchyard, we then take a left turn and we're heading up towards the sort of main sort of villagey bit, if you like. All the sort of main properties are up there. Also up there is the Viking Centre, which is our next major thing to aim for. This house was proudly waving an American flag. Turns out there are some from stateside who love life on the Wolds. Our next stop is the Viking Centre. This used to be the village school and it was built in 1851 by the Earl of Yarborough. It could hold up to 100 children. When it was a school, it served Claxby, Normanby and Usselby, and most pupils walked here. It closed as a school in 1971, but reopened as a low-cost hostel in 1982. It can accommodate up to 20 people. The school closed thanks to the decline of ironstone mining, not just in Claxby, but also in Nettleton, whose mine closed in 1968. Housing has changed too. Terraced rows once housed mine workers, but these were all pulled down in 1971. Now we've reached the middle of the village, overlooked by a charming house which looks like an old inn. Alright, so we've reached Boggle Lane, which is that road right there. I'm going to go down there eventually, but before I do, I'm heading back down here towards the phone box and a few other bits and bobs. We'll turn around and then head back to Boggle Lane, and this will be the last section. The second bit of the main village centre is where we come across the phone box, which is now Claxby's information point. You can see how we've formed a loop around the village here, with Shepherd's Shop visible in the distance. Now for Boggle Lane, a different kettle of fish. It's another dead end and has some of Claxby's biggest houses. This one was interesting to me for some reason, I don't know why, maybe it was just the architectural style. One of Claxby's old schoolmasters used to live on Boggle Lane, Edward Canty, in a house called the Cottage. As the road ends, it becomes a footpath, public this time, and this will complete the circuit of the village. It passes over a stream, one of many which flow down from the Wolds. This one eventually joins Kingerby Beck. The path comes to an end near the village hall, bringing us back to Normanby Rise once again. Now for the hard bit. Okay, and we're back on Normanby Rise, and from here all I have to do is walk up that hill, which you saw at the beginning of the Normanby Wolds episode last week. I'm not looking forward to this. It is going to be quite steep, and having walked around for the past couple of hours in these two villages, I am feeling it a little bit, but it'll be worth it when I get to the top, because we all know how good that view looks. And lastly, we make for the A46, crossing over the Lincoln to Grimsby railway line, where Claxby and Usselby railway station was once located. That's it for Claxby, and next week we'll be staying on the Wolds as we take a look at another village located within this lovely part of Lincolnshire. It's bye for now. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.